Hi! I've been wanting to film this video for a while, how to sequence a yoga practice. So this video can be helpful if you're a yoga teacher and you're building classes for your students. It can also be really inspiring if you're a home yoga practitioner and you're interested in putting together your own classes, if you're away from where you practice in a studio or maybe with your teacher. It's also for my clients so that you know you can always practice at home when you're away from practicing together with me in this beautiful space. So a few things that you might want to invest in. This is more for yoga teachers, but also for serious home yoga practitioners. The first would be a sadhana journal where you can keep track of your daily yoga practice, writing down inspiring transitions and sequences as they come to you on your mat. You also might want to have a mala necklace or a set of prayer beads that you can use to count the repetitions of mantras as you practice chanting as a way to focus your mind to prepare for meditation. Another book that I've included is an amazing one, 2100 Asanas by Mr. Yoga, Daniel Lacerda. He's from Canada and he recruited a bunch of amazing yogis. He photographed them all in absolutely mind-blowing postures, some of which I had never known existed before. He also lists all of the names for the asanas in Sanskrit, which can be really helpful if you haven't learned Sanskrit names for the postures, or if you're willing to incorporate that more into your yoga classes. In addition, obviously you want to have a yoga mat, you want to have a comfortable clothes to practice in, and a serene space that's free from distractions so that you can focus on your sadhana. So as we find our opening posture, our ultimate goal is to be able to become aware of our breath. Asana, the postures, and pranayama, how we breathe, they're connected. So once we develop the awareness of moving prana, energy in the postures, then we're really able to deepen them and find what it really means to be practicing yoga. It's not just about postures, it's about establishing a sense of peace and serenity in these turbulent times. So to be a yogi is to be content with the experiences of a life, but committed to our practice to transcend what can be the distracted thoughts of the mind, pulling us away from truth. And true experience is always centered in bliss. This is what the yogis called samadhi, or self-realization, to be so connected with one as the universe and also nature. Everything is coexisting and simultaneously inhabiting the same space and energy field. So as yogis, we understand this and we flow with the harmony and the rhythm of life. This is why it can be a helpful tool to close the eyes and focus on the third eye as you meditate. You can then observe the thoughts that might enter your mind. You begin to notice if you think about the future or the past a lot. You could bring your awareness back to the present moment. We work with our breath as a meditation. The deeper we breathe, the calmer our mind becomes. And this is that ultimate state of serenity and peace known as samadhi. As you build a yoga class, there are many ways that you can cue your practitioners to practice pranayama. Some of the most accessible will just be cueing your students to focus on the inhale and the exhale. As your students advance, or as you advance in your own personal practice, you might begin to encourage students to meditate on not only the inhales and exhales, but the spaces between those two parts of the breath. We call this breath hold. Kombuka. So you can hold the breath after an exhale. Notice how that helps the diaphragm relax. It also helps tension drop free from the shoulders. You can also retain breath after you've inhaled completely. This way is a little more energizing. And then the emphasis is on ultimate relaxation through the exhale. So the yogis charted through the body what they named nadis, the nadi system, which is where they could imagine the prana would travel. Some scientists have associated this with the nervous system, and in Chinese medicine, they would equate the nadis to the meridians, the myofascial pathways. So it makes sense to me that prana, which we are able to use as a way to change blood chemistry, it would transmit oxygen through these sinew pathways, the meridian pathways, in a way that would transform extremities away from the lungs. So while breath is actually only influencing the torso, like from a physical perspective, the lung tissue, the ribs, the diaphragm, the vital organs, we can actually breathe into other parts of the body by sending the awareness there. Sending awareness along a myofascial pathway brings the nutrients from full yogic pranayama to nourish a system. It's like being able to meditate and heal the body. It's very powerful. So the yogis, they called these nadis, and ultimately the nervous system perspective could be correlated to the left and right brain and the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. So when you breathe more into your left nostril, you're nourishing your right brain. So they cross over here. So when you're left-handed, your right brain energy is more active versus being right-handed or more logical. You can still be more of a right brain person and right-handed, by the way, and vice versa. But just think about it from a perspective of left brain and right nostril is more logic. So the hemisphere of the brain opposite the right hand, the right yang side of the body. So Ida, which is the moon channel, and then Pingala, which is the sun channel. So Ida is the left side of the body, but the right brain. So left side parasympathetic nervous system. And then right side yang, Pingala, left brain. And it's more energizing, like solar side, solar nature. We've gotten away from calling these two creative forces masculine and feminine because we've come to know and recognize that male and female both share these energies, sun and moon. You are not just one way or the other. Both of these energies exist simultaneously in both the male and the female. So rather than thinking about it that way, they're just complementary energies. And I feel the more that we learn about the nature of life, the more we accept the non-dualistic view of life, we'll perhaps even do away with thinking about them as opposites at all. They're complementary. They're two halves of a whole. And while they might seem opposite or like one half of the other could not exist without the other, they're just coexisting. That's something that might be a little confusing to think about. But if you're teaching a class and you're really in touch with astrology or the moon, and you want to teach Chandra Namaskara instead of a sun salutation, then you would just have your students start with the left side first, the left leg. In Meridian Yoga, we start the stomach and spleen sequences on the left side because that's the side of the body where those organs are. It can also be a way to transmit some flexibility from the left side, which is usually more receptive and open, to the right side, which can sometimes be tense or tight, depending on what you do for a living. So if you want to harness the left side's flexibility, you can also practice postures like pigeon or standing bow on the left side first and see if some of that muscle memory and that nervous system connection, feeling very open, helps you go deeper on the right side. But just some ideas as you think about how you theme a class or what these bigger energies are about. Why do we practice yoga? And why do we feel the way that we feel when we're finished with practice? So the ultimate goal, if you're a teacher, is to leave every student feeling very balanced and serene at the end of a class. And we accomplish this by including complementary forces in the same way that Ida and Pingala are complementary. We have back bends and forward bends, side bends, twists, compression, open. So you can always think about the yin and the yang kind of unfolding continuously through a class leading up to Shavasana, where we're just open and receptive to those energies moving in the body. So that's what the yogis observed through the nadis. It's the movement of energy. That's why pranayama is so important to the practice of yoga. To be aware of the energy that we move through the posture is what makes the posture. You cannot have one without the other. You can, however, practice just pranayama from a seated position. In fact, as yogis transcended the rigorous physical asana practice, they would simply meditate for hours and hours because they used the mind to move the energy. They used the mind and the breath to move the energy. They didn't need the posture anymore. So that's very interesting. So a lot of us in the West, we find Ashtanga, right? And we're so obsessed with it. And we go down this road of conquering every pose and mastering every asana. And then we realize, oh, it's really not about these postures at all. It's about how they make me feel and how they influence, health and longevity. So you can practice an arduous system of yoga like that. Just make sure that your mental peace is still the forefront, and it's not always this driven way of being, because then you might get burnt out. On the other hand, if you just love laying on a bolster all day long, and you might need a little more of the yang in your life. So it's no judgment, just making an observation that sometimes we can fall into a way of being that doesn't necessarily serve what the yogis would have wanted us to accomplish, which is harmonizing these energies, being in balance. So this is why I love Meridian Yoga. And Meridian Yoga is like yin with some of a yang focus. So we do a yang practice that's moving energy, but we'll hold the postures for a really long time. So we'll go so deep into posture to affect the myofascial pathway. So that's just something to keep in mind. This is a practice we can do our whole life because it's not based on something that's a temporary goal that we've achieved. But if you love power yoga and maybe you trained with Baron Baptiste or Patabi Joyce in your Ashtanga, you're going to teach that sequence based on why you love it so much. So don't worry about, one person's opinion on if you're going to get burnt out and not love it so much. But just keep in mind that if you practice it all the time, you might really benefit from yin if you're reaching a plateau in your practice or something. And your students might also appreciate that too. Maybe you teach at a studio that offers a variety of classes, so you might nudge your students to explore yin as well. Again, just wanting to get that out there. But whatever style of yoga you found that you love so much as a teacher, share why you love it so much. Share your practice. Those will always be the deepest teachings when we share from our heart. And there's so many yoga books out there, and it's important to study the texts, but it's much more important to practice than it is to just read about yoga. You are always your best and brightest teacher. So, from my honor of wanting to share what my teacher taught me, it's really been about doing my practice and thinking of what she's able to do in her body and how balanced and present and inspiring she is. She lives a yogic life with integrity. She doesn't harm animals. She helps others. She leads these beautiful trainings that just spread yoga far and wide. So if you, as a teacher, can embody those same principles that inspire you from your teachers or from your lineage, then you're on the right track, because that's why we're here as teachers. And don't worry if you haven't found your guru yet. They're out there, I promise. But I used to be so confused about that for a while, where's my guru? And then one day it just happened, and my life has never been the same. So just keep practicing and keep teaching too, because you might meet a student even that just inspires you to rekindle your practice. You could meet a student that you end up falling in love with and getting married to. That's how I met my husband. So just keep being on the path and being as a yogi would in the world. Yamas and niyamas, and then everything else from there. All right. So after you've set up your space to practice, you have your sadhana journal, your mala, maybe a picture of your teacher or something that inspires you, your altar. Then you can begin your practice. So I'll just walk us through how to structure a class based on energies. So grounding the energy at the beginning of a practice is really important. So you could come to a meditative seat. You want to begin focusing on your breath for a few moments. Your grounding posture is for you to close your eyes and observe your breathing, just noticing how you feel. If you have a shorter amount of time to practice, or you're preparing a 60-minute asana class, you should spend about 3 to 5 minutes in this pranayama. Different breath practices you could cue. You could have students focus on deepening their breath, so just bringing an awareness of the breath into their mind's eye, third eye. You could also cue alternate nostril breathing, Nadi Shodhana. You inhale through the left nostril. Exhale through the right. And then again, inhale right. Exhale left. Inhale left. Exhale right. And then continuing that through several cycles. You could also, if you're practicing meridian yoga or you want to deepen these myofascial pathways, it's great to theme your seated practice with the awareness of the meridian that you're going to focus on through your practice. So we could come into our pericardium. So at the wrist crease and the middle finger, stretching the fingers up and back. This would be a great warm-up for a heart opening sequence or back bends if you're going to do a lot of back bends in your class. You could have your students open these myofascial pathways. And then also directing your tongue to be really soft in your mouth. You want it to just rest behind your upper teeth on your soft palate. So you can become aware of any clenching or any holding that you might be accustomed to doing in your jaw or your neck. Then after you've spent several minutes in your seated practice working on pranayama, then we can move into some sun salutations, moving the energy now through the spine. So coming off of your seat, and if you're going to practice for 90 minutes, so you have a really long amount of time that you can enjoy, and I think that's definitely a good amount, especially if you're a teacher and you want to go deeper in your practice. Just start by practicing a longer sequence, and then you can learn more from that. So 60-minute class, spend about 3 to 5 minutes. 3 minutes would be like the minimum of seated pranayama. 90-minute practice, you could spend up to 8 minutes, 10 minutes in your seated pranayama, just focusing on that. And your meridian stretches too. Spend like 3 minutes on just holding a meridian stretch after you've done 7 minutes of pranayama. That'd be a really good opening. Downward dog. And you might find that after the practice of those meridian stretches, you can go a lot deeper into your downward facing dog. Your Adho Mukha Svanasana. And again, the same idea, meditating on the breath, noticing the extremities. And what can you soften? What can you deepen? And then there are 2 types of sun salutations. The first is sun salutation A, where we're just coming up to the top of the mat, folding forward, lifting up, folding forward, and going back through a flow. And then sun salutation B, where we add the warrior 1, warrior 2. Even Utkatasana can be thrown in there. So you want to spend about 15 minutes working through Sun A to Sun B, grounding the energy and then moving the energy up through the arms, through the hands, and following your breaths. As you inhale, you come up to the top of your mat. As you exhale, you fold. Sun A, inhale, lift up, gaze up, exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen spine, and exhale, step back. It could be all the way down to the mat. Cobra. Exhale, down dog. We'll do 5 of these. Top of the mat. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Lengthen, breathe in. Exhale, step back. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Lengthen. And follow your breath. All right, last one, Sun A. And then again, go a little deeper in this downward dog. So let's stick with our theme of heart opening for this sequence. So when we come through our Sun Bs now, let's start on the left side. Let's send a little more of that receptive yin heart energy to the right. So look to the hands, bring your left foot forward, right toes out, warrior 1. Inhale to rise. Exhale to open, warrior 2. Inhale, reverse. And exhale, flow. Now, adding Vashisthasana, we bring our right hand in the middle of the mat and we come back into side plank. 3 breaths. You can also drop back into Wild Thing. As you exhale, you flow. Now right away, right side. Warrior 1, warrior 2, reverse, Vashisthasana. Can be any variation, working on lifting the heart. Exhale to the floor. Now let's come up to the top of the mat. Fold. Inhale, rise. And bring your right arm under your left, Garudasana, into Utkatasana. So feet together, elbows down. You're going to sink down, squeezing the knees together, sinking way back, and then open your arms up now, biceps by your ears. So heart meridian travels through the little fingers. You can also add pericardium and lung fascia here, reaching the arms back. Exhale, sit back. 3 more breaths. And on your deepest inhale, exhale to fold. Lengthen spine and step back, holding a plank. Just getting strong. Lift the heart up 1 inch and then flow. Deepen Adho Mukha. You can keep sending your chest back to your knees, stretching from deep in your chest. Deepen your armpits, heart 1. And look to the top of the mat. Make your way up, deepen your fold. Rise up. Left arm under right. And now this time, we bring our balance into our right leg and we extend our left leg long. Virabhadrasana 3 with eagle arms. Lifting a little more from the back of the heart. We're going to land in Vira 1, keeping the arms, and then open up. Lift the gaze. Kali Mudra, index fingers free, keep the left thumb on top, and then humble this warrior. Reverse the grip, right thumb on top, and go inside of your right knee. So think back of the heart here. Breathing into the liver. And change. You can come down inside of your right foot. 1 breath, step back. High plank. Right hand centers in the middle of your mat. Vashisthasana. Again, reach for the variation. Find your left knee. Drop back. Maybe all the way back. Full wheel. If you do go all the way back, you can come back through your other hand, left hand. And then again, exhale your flow. Downward. Deep breaths. Look to the top of your mat and make your way up. Open your feet up so you can move your balance into your left leg. Hands to your pelvis this time. So keeping an eye on alignment, hands to your pelvis, extend your right leg back and long. Warrior 3. You want to go a little deeper? Kali Mudra, left thumb on top, reach long, and then land your Warrior 1. Bring your right thumb on top, Kali. Humble, switch the grip. And all the while you're breathing your deepest yoga breaths. And then change. Inside of the left foot, step back. Left hand centers, go for it. Vashisthasana, your full wheel, Chakrasana. Variations. And if you go all the way over, come back on your right hand and follow your flow. Downward dog. So that could be your opening sequence. Your opening heart-focused sun sal. So you could write that down. 5 by Sun A, starting left leg, and then we added Garudasana, Utkatasana. We went back to Vira 1 with those eagle arms, and then we added humble. And we have a Vashisthasana thrown into our vinyasa for transition. So now what else can we do? Pinky fingers. We've done some Garudasana. We could add our Gomukhasana now. So let's go back into that downward dog. And let's, again, start on the left side, that yin side, reaching the left toes up. Inhale up. Exhale, start in the Warrior 1. So now we're going to go a little deeper. That opening sequence, the opening Surya Namaskara can be a little more fast-paced. And then when you go into this second half of the grounding practice, you can hold the postures a little longer. You can go a little deeper. So Garudasana, left hand up the back, right elbow overhead. You're just going to breathe. Every exhale, you go a little lower. Every inhale, you lift a little higher. Let the head drop back. Use your eyes. You can keep these arms. Once you've found the depth of your Vira 1, keep these arms and open into your Vira 2. Once you feel the strength of your legs, steady, find that pericardium stretch again. So a really nice cue, anytime someone's hanging out with their arms in Warrior 2, have them press out through their palms. Maybe you can work on this too. The arms are strong like a warrior. Now we could inhale, reverse. And let's come into our half moon now. Left fingertips for the floor, right arm overhead, reaching up through the right toes, through the right side body. Now you can have a little reach back for sugar cane variation here. And then when you let that go, land in your lizard. So lizard now, right knee to the floor, right hand under your right shoulder. Reach your left arm back for that right foot. So heart opening, lung opening here. You can squeeze the arm, emphasize the heart meridian. And keep the mouth soft. Again, what can you meditate on? Your breath, these pathways. And maybe go a little deeper, just expressing your energy. And now as we change here, we'll drop the elbows down, we'll lift up into our dolphin pose. So forearm stand, handstand, all these inversions, crow, they really work us into our heart meridian. So before we go up into our arm balance, we'll just work on foundation. So just stay in your dolphin for 5 breaths. You can press up, down dog, come to chaturanga. And then back to down dog. Deepening your breath. Now we'll lift the right leg high. Warrior 1. Virabhadrasana 1. A lot of times the angle of this back foot will want to do some crazy things. So a nice way to have students check, heel to hip alignment. The only thing that changes from downward dog is now these left toes come out to the side. So the foot is a wider pedestal to support the base. You can come up from there and work on your pelvis. Try to keep the pelvis underneath the ribs. Try not to let it spill forward. Adding Gomukhasana. Left elbow overhead. So you're really strengthening your back leg as you sink down. Again, try to keep these arms opening into 2. You can look down at the body, heel to arch alignment, and then you open up the palms. Sink a little deeper. With strong arms, stretching. Reverse. And Ardha Chandrasana. A lot of times too, what will happen is the right toes will want to cave in. Keep your standing leg as strong as your lifted leg. Uttan Pristasana, lizard. Left knee down. Reach your right arm back. You can send your breath through your heart meridian or anywhere that is holding tension. And let that go. Again, lizard. From lizard, dolphin. Come up. You can challenge this by working the shoulders out over the elbows, getting a little stronger. Or if this is enough, relax the head and you get the benefit of a little inversion here. Calming the breath, calming the mind. And then again, come to your down dog. Breathe through your flow. And then you can take a little break and write down your sequence again. So Gomukhasana, Vira 1 to Vira 2, from three-legged dog. Pericardium arms, Vira 2, Ardha Chandrasana, lizard, reach back, dolphin. And that was the same on both sides. So you can keep that and then just have a little symbol that says you repeat that. We started again on the left leg. Now, that grounding energy, now is a good time to have a little bridge moment and work on some balance. So because this is a heart sequence, we can do an arm balance now. And universal arm balance or entry to arm balance would be a crow, Bakasana. So setting up for crow, it's nice to start in Malasana. You can cue students to find that strong press through their palms. You can always have students that are too afraid to go very far off the ground work with a block here. So it's nice to, you can have the block two places. The first would be have students bring their head to the block and then come up like a tripod. Another option would be have the block behind their toes and they can bring their toes up onto the block. And they don't have to bring both of their feet up. It could just be one toe today. If your students can easily do crow resting their knees on the backs of their arms, which is beautiful acupressure, you can cue them to squeeze the knees into the outer arms and use a little more bandha strength. Always taking care of the wrists too. Massage at the wrist crease. Let the posture go as you explore. Doing maybe 3 sets, seeing how long you can hold the posture for. Another option I love, baby crow. So working on that forearm, strength and balance. The knees come onto the backs of the triceps. You can stay to feel that heat. Arm balances, this heart meridian practice is moving a lot of heat in the body. So when you do a flow, you come back to down dog, you can have your students do a lion's breath. Releasing some of that heat. Now we'll walk back to the feet. It's nice to change it up every now and then. Have different variations of the postures start at different places on the mat. We'll set up here from the back of our mat. So we're going to work on our standing bow. So this posture is a really beautiful access to the heart, also the lung, and then the strength of the stomach and spleen pathway. So this is really like an all-around wonderful balance to sequence in your classes if you're not sure what to do. You can have students step the left foot forward, setting up, so they're reaching up, left arm up, catch the inside of your right foot. You want your thumb pointing up, and then just begin to strengthen the roots, and the left leg, the breath. And then as you kick, pull, as you pull, kick, deepen for 5 breaths. You can come out, reset. Now switching into the right leg, bring your left heel into half lotus and fold forward over your standing leg. Bringing your left fingers into your left foot. Just moving a little bit of the side body chi. It's beautiful. Hip opener, gallbladder, fascia, meridian of the springtime, liver, gallbladder, meridians, the energy of the spring. It's nice to throw a seasonal posture in there too. You can squeeze now your left knee in, shake your left foot out. And then we'll step our left foot up, come down into our lizard. One more time, go a little deeper, reaching back for your right foot. Spend some time here. Open up here. And you can spin over on your right shin. Find a gate pose now. Reaching everything through the left side. It's like side angle, but you're on your right leg. And then we can bring our forearms down to the back of our mat and work on our little kick-ups into forearm stand. Just try to find a little bit of balance. You can always use a wall. And then when you're done, come to the middle of your mat. Inhale your arms up. Exhale your hands, heart center. We'll just do that 3 times. Energy of our heart. Inhale up. Exhale. One more inhale. And exhale. If you have a little more time in your practice, you could have students work on acupressure here, heart 1. Deep, deep, deep in the armpit, subscapularis muscle there. Inside, deep inside. You can use 4 fingers, accessing it as you cross the armpit, the arm of the armpit that you're pressing into across the body. You can also get your thumb in there and just massage. It's a place where you might be holding some tension, some tightness. And just explore. It's always a beautiful gift to know the body, to love the body. Kindness, curiosity, compassion. That's strength. When you're done exploring that, you can take a vinyasa, coming down onto your heart, coming onto your conception vessel. Inhaling up. And exhaling. Go very deep into this down dog. Press the chest back. Stretch the arms out. And then again, walk back to the feet. You can shake the head. As you're ready, rising up. Hands heart center. And we come into our standing bow on the other side. So right leg steps forward. Think about reaching for the sky. Opening your heart. And you might have very strong legs here. So send a little more energy into your arm. Squeeze the back of the heart. Lift the heart. And change. Coming into your left leg. Right ankle up to the left hip crease. And again, just folding forward. You can add acupressure, right fingers to the right toes as you come down. Then right heel working to compress the left side body. And just pay attention to the side body fascia, the temples, the jaw, the neck. 5 breaths. And change. Try to keep pressure into the side body with your foot as you rise. So keep the right knee below the right hip. And you can let that go. Right foot steps up, lizard. Coming all the way down to the mat. Again, reach back. Maybe you can get your forearms to the floor here. Reach back. Catching that left foot. Breathing into the right lung, the right shoulder. And when you release, gate pose, bringing your right shin to the mat. Try to think knee right below your pelvis, and then just gently pressing the pelvis forward to open the entire front body. Reaching up. And again, working on balance in forearm stand. Finding a little kicks up. And then again, another opportunity to write down your sequence. Any things that you liked, things that you want to change. One of the greatest postures of all for opening the front body is camel, Ustrasana. Knees under the pelvis, hands to support the deep back muscles. You can keep your toes tucked. We'll do 3 sets. So this first set, keeping the toes tucked, just seeing if you can reach back one leg at a time. Reaching your fingers for your calves, and then let your heart lift up. Imagine your entire back body's very strong, your front body's soft and open as you breathe deeply. Always have your head come up very last so your spine can support it. And then just notice the effects of the pose. You can find acupressure at stomach 12 in line with the sternocleidomastoid, especially if it's hard to drop your head back. Just uniting all these forces that are involved in a deep heart opener and a deep back bend. Second set, going a little deeper. So maybe uncurling your toes so you can press through the tops of your feet. Send your pelvis forward, lift your heart up, gaze up, and then drop the hands back. Coming up with support. Head up last, just sitting on your heels. Deepen your breath. Now third set, deepest set. So whether that means working on more acupressure, you can come back to Heart 1. Or if you'd like to try to drop back, coming into your Laghu Vajrasana. Half camel, reaching. And use your eyes, looking back. Always spend some time receiving. And just keeping a neutral spine. And again, writing down if Ustrasana was maybe your peak pose or something else that you wanted to work on near the end of class. Again, grounding the energy as we finish our practice. So it could be a pigeon with a heart-opening variation, mermaid pose, or Rajakapotasana. You could also come into a shoulder stretch now if it's a little more of a gentle winding down. You could also find heart-melting pose for a couple breaths. So we'll come into our shoulder stretch. Starting on the left side, bringing the left hand up, rolling over onto the left side. You could half bind your right arm. I'm just feeling a deep stretch here, not only from deep within the chest, but also the side of the neck. The temple, the jaw. And then returning to center, you can press yourself back to all fours, reverse wrist, cat-cow. So just deeply stretching back into that pericardium fascia. Before exploring the other side, coming down onto the front body, right arm stretches out, rolling over onto the right side. again, it's always nice to revisit a hip opener at the conclusion of practice. If you'd like to explore a variation with heart opening energy, finding your king pigeon here, reaching the arms up. Another beautiful variation is to thread the needle from your pigeon. So if your left knee is forward, just thread your right arm under. You can half bind your left hand for your left foot. You find liver 3. A nice way to work on keeping the hips and the pelvis level. Toward the end of a class, you can spend a little more time in the postures too. Depending on how much time you have, maybe 3 to 5 minutes aside in your pigeon. Balancing more of that yin nature with the very yang namaskara warm-ups. And then a little transition here into a spinal twist, bringing the right foot up and outside of the left leg, just hugging the right knee into center. You can reach back, looking over your right shoulder. Now another option too, you're in a really great position to just bring students onto their backs, working on their pigeon pose supine, which can be a very deep experience. So just bringing the right ankle to the left knee. You could scoop up the shin, going deep here. So in addition to the pericardium and the heart tissue on the front body, we can also work on the back of the heart. So the triple warmer pathway. So when you've come onto your back here, you can set up for a supported bridge. And just making that connection with the back of the heart, the back body. As well as working on full wheel. Again here, lifting up. Can add some variations. One leg wheel. Ekapada Chakrasana. And another option is to find your forearm wheel too. Go in a little deeper through the heart lines. And then just tucking your chin to come down. You can bring your knees in toward each other. Just finding the heart mudra with the hands, thumbs up to the hairline. So the elbows lift up. There's a deep stretch from inside the chest. And then we could finish with our Garudasana in supine twist. So left leg wrapping around the right. Lift the pelvis up into the left, knees fall to the right. Right hand to your left ribs. You can keep your left palm grounding down, continuing to stretch the heart tissue. And then switching sides. Center your pelvis again. Wrap your right leg around your left leg. Knees fall to the left. right arm out to the right. Try to keep your shoulder down. Deepen your breath. Now, another more restorative option for the back of the heart at the end of this practice would be a plow pose. And just making that connection between the shoulders and the heart. The back of the heart. And then final Shavasana, again with heart mudra if you'd like that, or just lifting the base of the skull off the floor. You can massage the occipitals there, gallbladder 20, bladder 10, little circles with the skull. And then when you are ready to lift back up, let's take a moment, honor your practice, and the energy you devoted to your practice. And then here you can spend a little more time journaling that final sequence, writing down those asanas, those finishing asanas that you practiced. So we worked into a shoulder stretch, Anahatasana, into our Kapotasana with arm variations, so heart opening variations. We did a seated twist, and then took our other side, our right leg pigeon onto our back. And then for a lighter, gentler asana, we could practice our halasana, our plow, back of the heart, or more wheel, with the option to do variations, forearm wheel. Then you could do Garudasana legs for your supine twist, and heart meridian arms in Shavasana. So once you have everything gathered, you've written everything down that you practiced, you can go back and change any part of your sequence that didn't really flow well or that you want to experience differently. So I think I would probably change the standing sequence, maybe adding in a pyramid pose after that standing half lotus where we folded, maybe adding in a revolved Ardha Chandrasana. Since it's spring, we can do a little bit more work on the liver. And then from there, that's a really great place to ground that lifted leg into a lizard. So we could practice that from our half lotus. So we're in Ardha Padmasana and Vrikshasana, and then we come up, and then we would step this right foot forward, send the left toes out for pyramid, left hand down, left leg up, revolved Ardha Chandrasana. And then left foot forward, right knee back and long. We're back in our lizard. So that flows a little bit better than the other variation. And then instead of forearm stand, you can also have students bring the right foot up into a malasana and work more on crow or other arm variations here. You could find firefly or compass. Just something that brings a little more connection with pericardium and heart in the hands. And that's it. Working on acupressure points as well. We did some work on heart 1 and stomach 12 in Ustrasana. So just writing everything down, and that's a beautiful way to keep track of your personal practice and how it can inspire your teaching. So I hope you enjoy. I'll see you soon.